or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to talk about very big news coming out of Japan. There has been an announcement of the rotation, and look, I know that there have been several videos lately where I've talked about really big news, but I'm sorry, we had the reveal of Scarlet and Violet TCG over in Japan. That's very big news. We had the reveal of the Scarlet and Violet TCG in English. That's very big news. We had the reveal of a new type of card in Terrestrial Pokemon with Arcanine EX. That was very big news. And we had news that the Pokemon Tool cards are getting reclassified as their own thing, which is a very important rule change which is really going to affect the game. And that was very big news. So yes, I am fully aware that there's like 5 or 6 videos in the past couple of days where I've come to you and been like, this is really big news, but I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this is really big news. Never mind, ladies and gentlemen. Never mind. So, what have we got going on here? We have got the announcement of the rotation over in Japan. The rotation is official. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, it is exactly, and I mean exactly, what we were expecting. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we have got the rotation, and we are rotating to D. Well, we're rotating through D, so we're rotating to E onwards, and it is coming into effect on the 20th of January, which you may well recognize, very important day. That is the release date of Scarlet and Violet TCG over in Japan. So we're rotating all the cards of Regulation Mark D, and we're doing it on the day Scarlet and Violet comes out. Now, in terms of English, no, there hasn't been an announcement yet. We haven't been told anything. No announcement has come down. However, I do feel pretty gosh darn confident in saying this. We are going to rotate to Regulation Mark E onwards, and we're going to do so on the 31st of March. How can I be so gosh darn sure that we are going to do so? Well, really simple, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, because that makes the most sense. Now, if we have a look what we were told previously, we were told this. For the last few years, the Pokemon TCG standard format rotation has occurred in either August or September. However, the next rotation will not occur until early 2023. This means that cards with the deregulation mark can be used at the 2022 Pokemon TCG World Championships. The newest expansions that will be legal playable at this event will be Pokemon Go. The exact date for the next Pokemon TCG standard format rotation will be announced later. As stated in the 2022 Pokemon TCG Championship Series Season Format Rotation article, when the next rotation occurs, all cards with the deregulation mark will be removed. So actually, when I say we're rotating Regulation Mark D, that's not a prediction. We've literally been told that. We were told straight up, we're going to rotate D. But that was the whole point. The entire reason we got regulation marks was so that we could do this. Starting with the Sword and Shield block, we got regulation mark D. We never had, in English cards, we never had regulation marks A, B, and C. That was a Japanese thing. We started getting them in Sword and Shield, and this was literally the reason. The reason was so that we could rotate entire blocks, because it gets a little bit awkward. I mean, one of the things we're going to see, in fact, is in this rotation. If we look at something like Shining Fates as an example, this is where it would have gotten very awkward under the old system. Because we've got cards like Celebi, decently playable card, lets you go and search for an energy in the top 6 cards of your deck. That is regulation mark E. That will survive the rotation. But then there's plenty of other cards coming in that set, like the Rowlet, that are regulation mark D and will not survive the rotation. So we'd end up, Shining Fates would be a set that kind of half rotated. That would be super awkward. Now it's nice and simple. Yeah, sure, Summer Shining Fates is going to rotate and Summer Shining Fates isn't, but we're going to be able to have a little bit of a look just at the card, and it is going to make an awful lot more sense. So I'm kind of a fan of this. As for the date, I mean, look, Pokemon have talked time and again about wanting to get the game more in line with Japan. That is something Pokemon have talked about a bunch. And actually, if we go back to the announcement yesterday of Scarlet and Violet, just in that announcement, we saw a similar kind of thing. When they talked about the frames going to silver. Moving forward, the classic yellow borders framing Pokemon TCG cards will transition to the same silver border used in Japan. This change both frames Pokemon TCG artwork in its originally intended border and further unifies the game on a global level. Pokemon are trying to make our game as close to Japan as possible. That is not a secret. And how do you do that? It's not by rotating on the same date, it's rotating at the same time. By which I mean we don't rotate on the 20th of January, that would be dumb. What we actually do is we rotate on the 31st of March. So the time we're rotating is the release of Scarlet and Violet, and the time Japan is rotating is the release of Scarlet and Violet, and that all makes absolute perfect sense to me. So yeah. Good work, ladies and gentlemen. Good work. To be clear, it is confirmed in Japan. It is not confirmed over here. But I'm kind of treating it as confirmed. I'm going to be honest with you. As far as I'm concerned, it's like definitely happening. Sorry. And this is, of course, very, very important because the Oceania International Championships are happening in February. And it makes a huge difference as to whether we've rotated or not. When we get to that international championships, if we haven't rotated, then we've seen the introduction of Crown Zenith, and it's basically that's kind of the new thing which is coming in for that tournament. If we have rotated, it's all up in the air, and that makes things very, very different indeed. Now, in terms of the rotation itself and what it's going to look like, my goal in this video is not to give you a full rundown of everything that's rotating. This is the, hey, the rotation has been announced in Japan, here's when it's coming in the UK, almost certainly, video. But I do think it's worth having a little bit of a look. I mean, if we look at the decks which are topping tournaments at the moment, the main decks themselves, and there is a giant caveat here, the main decks themselves aren't rotating. So we know that Palkia is very, very good at the moment. Palkia was in Astral Radiance. Palkia is actually going to survive the next rotation as well. Lugia, absolutely huge deck, crushing at the moment. Lugia will also survive the next rotation. Lost Zone box with Comfy and all of those cards will not survive just this rotation, but will survive the next rotation as well. A lot of these really big decks are not just going to survive this rotation, they're going to survive the next. So where does a caveat come in? The caveat comes in the support. Because one of the cards that is really, really, really good in Lugia, I mean, there are a bunch of cards, but Evolution Incense sees a bunch of play. Yeah, that's gone. Powerful Colorless Energy to do a bunch of extra damage with Lugia when you're set up. Yeah, that's gone. Quick Ball that basically every deck uses to get up and rolling nice and quickly. Yeah, that's gone. We can look at the Regigigas deck. And Regigigas, all of those Pokemon in Regigigas, they're staying around. That is a deck that we haven't even had for very long. That deck basically came around in Astral Radiance. But you know what that deck really relies upon? Really relies on Aurora Energy. Aurora Energy is absolutely huge. That's how you can, you accelerate the energy with Regigigas, and then you use Aurora Energy to basically be able to pay the attack cost of any of the... Oh, wait, that was in Sword and Shield, wasn't it? Yes. Yes, it was in Sword and Shield. And that means that Aurora Energy is rotating out. So Regigigas itself is fine, but it's losing Aurora Energy. Lugia itself is fine, but it's losing things like Powerful Colorless Energy and Evolution Incense, which are so important to the deck. I don't know if Lugia is going to be unplayable come rotation, but it certainly is losing a lot of its favourite tricks. Things like Palkia are still here, but we see that Inteleon line is very, very popular here. We see an awful lot of it, and yeah, that's going as well. So we're not really losing our main attackers in this rotation. But what we are losing is we're losing an awful lot of the support Pokemon that really make them tick. So the question come rotation, for a lot of the decks is going to be, can we rebuild this, or do we have to say goodbye? Something like Lugia is losing a lot of tricks, maybe we can rejig it. Something like Palkia, again, same deal. Something like Regigigas, no. That deck doesn't work without Aurora Energy. And again, I'm not saying you can rebuild Palkia and you can rebuild Lugia. I'm saying it's up to you to try and figure that out. But I am telling you that Regigigas, it works because of Aurora Energy. And I'm saying that when you take Aurora Energy out, I don't need any more, I don't need to think about that one anymore. It's gone. Aurora Energy, just getting rid of that means that you just can't really play Regigigas anymore. Sorry. Or maybe you can. Maybe you use specific types of special energy and attack with others. I don't really know. Probably not, honestly. But we never know what's going to be released in the future that might end up coming back and fixing it. The point I'm making here is that you're going to look at this and you're going to go, oh, well, a lot of the main decks stay around. And in a way, that's true. And in another way, that's not true. Because a lot of the really important cards for those decks, they gone, ladies and gentlemen. They gone. I haven't even talked about stuff like Scoop Up Net yet, which of course is phenomenal for reusing all of those coming into play abilities. That's going to be a very big thing that we are losing, and there are so many others as well. The main real theme of the rotation is main attackers staying, but we are losing a lot of the support cards that we are relying on. And actually here, things like Pokemon Search, even that could get a little bit awkward. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the news, and now it's over to you guys. What do you think about this rotation? Do you agree with me that it is going to be with the release of Scarlet and Violet? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Pokemon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel. You can get some bonus podcasts, answer all of your questions. You can join a Discord and chat with us. And you can get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Jelena Renji, who's been a supporter of ours for a few months now and does seem to be a very lovely person. So thank you very much for all the support and for being a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.